I was more of a tomboy. And if my mom had been like, no, I'm not taking you to the boys section, how sad that would have been. And then I remember coming out through that phase like a year and a half later and being like, I want to dress like a girl again. But it was just something I wanted to experiment with.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
What's wrong with you being sad in that moment? What's wrong with your parents telling you no? Like, why have we become that? Why have we made that shift in society? They just never gonna be sad. What happens when they go out into the real world and then they really get told no for the first time? With some of these parents, right? If they're always told yes, they're told no for the first time. It's going to completely crush their whole being, right? I've dealt with people that are younger that have had no real hardships in life. And I'm not saying like you have to crush everyone, you know what I'm saying? 80s babies were probably crushed. Y'all let me know. We're probably crushed on a daily basis. It turned us in, we've got issues, for the most part. I'd say I'm willing to give out 80% of 80s babies. If y'all not talking to somebody, y'all should. Y'all probably got some repressed issues some kind of way. Some emotional trauma exists.
Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy.
What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Trey.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Back at it with another video.
Another one.
First and foremost, thanks to everybody that's been subscribing, commenting on the videos. I'm a new YouTuber, so obviously it means a lot. It's helping me continue to grow, so thanks for the love and the support. But if you are new to the channel, go ahead, take some time, hit that subscribe button, and while y'all at it, hit the notification bell. I noticed that the algorithm is kind of weird about some of the commentary videos and stuff like that on what they will and won't push. So that way, y'all be able to see the videos when they pop out. But enough with all that. Today we're going to be reacting to a video from Majority Report. To preface it, it's a video, one of the Bill Maher podcasts, not his show on HBO, but his podcast where he has a buddy on there. I forget the name of it off the top of my head. But, they get into a conversation and it gets into trans issues. So before I start the video, let me just preface it with, I know that some of the things that I'm going to say are, going to come off a certain kind of way. First and foremost, like, I don't have a problem with anybody from the LGBTQ plus community, right? I'm going to speak on the conversation that they're having in this video as a parent, and how I choose to parent and how I would engage with my kids if this situation were going down with my kids. Because of that, I'm sure that, that there's going to be people that disagree with me. I'm sure that there's going to be people that agree with me. But remember, I'm a parent. I was born in the 80s, probably have emotional trauma from the way I was raised and all that different stuff. I never said I was a perfect individual. I recognize I'm a flawed individual and I'm working on it. I'm not perfect. But this is how I view, I'll give y'all my reaction when it pops up. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. This won't be the whole video. It'll just be their whole video. It'll just be a portion of it.
No question about it. I am ready to get hurt again.
He was a girl.
How old?
I think just turned 9, and is just the coolest kid. I think.
Boy to girl, girl to boy?
Girl to boy.
Girl to boy, okay.
And she has another very close friend who's not in this school, but who's boy to girl at 3.
But girl to boy, I knew somebody who said to me, actually more than one person who said to me, a woman said, I was what they called a tomboy. If I was alive now and acted the way I did then, that's what they would have done to me.
Well, nobody's doing this to her.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
literally,
Wait,
nobody is doing.
Who did the tomboy?
So before they get into it, so yeah, I agree. Nobody is in that scenario that he gave. Nobody is doing that to them, right? You know, being a tomboy when we were growing up, you know what I'm saying, meant that you know what I'm saying, it was a girl that liked to play basketball, maybe even football, like whatever. She hung out with the dudes. And yeah, because of that, she might be in a jersey, like t-shirt and jeans. You don't never see her in dresses or something like that. Things of that nature is what I would consider tomboyish. And just because somebody's tomboyish, I wouldn't say that's them, you know, transitioning from male to female, female to male. Like I don't, or you know, in this scenario, female to male. I don't agree with that. So first and foremost, yeah, I don't agree with that. Let's see what the majority report has to say about it.
To that girl.
Who's that story from?
Who imposed the tomboy on them?
Also, did you see, like, David is talking about somebody he knows. And Bill has like the temerity to be like, no, that's not how it is.
No, somebody, is it one of the reactionary?
Oh yeah, and not yes, nobody was doing that to them. That was the way they were comfortable and how they, you know, how they enjoyed themselves. Nobody did that.
Turfs that I talked to
Right.
said that they would have made me a man if I.
Sorry to pause again. So I've said it in previous videos of mine. Again, I'm aware of, you know, some of these terms, but there's a lot of these terms that I don't even know, like cis male, cis female, turf. I don't know what a turf is. I know it has something to do with people. I want to say people that have issue with people in the trans community, like I guess women that, I don't know. If any of y'all that do know, let me know in the comments, educate me. I'm just ignorant and I'm gonna react to it how I see it. But yeah, I don't know what a turf is, and I'm not in that community or in them spaces to really care. But you know, I'm willing to learn.
You know, I've been a tomboy at the time. Yeah. You talk to hysterical losers. What do you want from me?
Literally, nobody is doing this to her.
How old?
She is, or he is, either 8 or I think 9.
Okay,
Just
then
turned 9.
somebody is doing something because 8 or 9-year-olds can't.
No, you know what they're doing?
Can't do anything on their own.
No, they're buying them boys' clothes.
Okay, then they're doing something. They're doing.
Sure, yes, you're right. They're buying them boys' clothes.
And telling them you're a boy now. Okay,
No, they're not telling them. They're just agreeing with. They're like going.
Well, they're
okay,
agreeing
honey.
with an 8-year-old because when has their judgment ever been off at 8?
So here's where I'll throw in my opinion. I can't stand Bill Maher. Think he's very condescending. Even the way that he's talking to his buddy right here is it's got a tone to it. Y'all hear it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But in this moment, right, I agree with them. That's just me. I get it. Everybody has their own thoughts and opinions on transgender and things of that nature. I don't want to step on the guy's argument, but he's going to bring up the point of, hey, you knew that you liked girls you knew early on that you liked girls and that you weren't gay, that you didn't like boys. So if you know. But my thing is, I'm a father, right? If my son came to me and he was like, hey, I feel like, I want to buy dresses and wear dresses. As a parent, I've got a decision to make. You know what I'm saying? I can take that, my son, we'll just give 8 years old. My kids are all older than 8. But we'll say at 8 years old, that's what they come. Say, Dad, I want to wear dresses. I'm like, no, boys don't wear dresses, son. Like, I'm saying, why do you want to wear dresses? We can have a conversation about it. I'm not about shunning him to the point to where he can't speak. But we can have a conversation about it, and I can get him, from my point of view, get him to understand why boys don't wear dresses. And y'all can, say that is me smothering his personality or something along those lines, like a joy thief as some would call it, right? Like, this is a thing that they feel in their heart of hearts, and I am being dismissive of it. And you know what? that's fair criticism. You know what I'm saying? You can say that that would be dismissive of me, but I am still his parent. I am still in the position to be teaching him what is right, what is wrong, what, you know, to help him grow into a man, right? Grow into a man that will be able to, you know, be educated, be able to work and provide for himself and do all these different things. At, you know, 17 or, you know, high school ages, you know what I'm saying, 17, 18 years old, if he came to me and was like, hey, this is how I feel, I want to wear dresses, okay, then that's a whole different atmosphere. You're almost an adult at this point. You're about to go out into the world, and if these are the feelings that you have, you know what I'm saying, I'd have to accept that. It would still be a conversation. But for one, I'm never going to not love my kids. Like, so, you know, ultimately, if that's the route that they want to go, then fine, you know, do you, I still love you. But again, 8 years old and 18 years old is a big jump and a big gap. There's a lot of life to be lived before you know all of these things about yourself. And I think where they kind of take this conversation is one of the reasons why people have a lot of problems with Democrats and liberals and leftists. This is why the argument, I don't think this is an argument that should be you know, bleeding into politics. It shouldn't be a major political argument that we're having that is swinging people's votes. Like, I don't understand why we would, you know, why we can be so conflicted over this thing, you know, to let parents parent, essentially, in this moment. You know, let the parent how they want to. If you are fine with that, then that's your right as a parent. But I disagree, and, you know, I'm not going to do that with my kids. But definitely let me know in the comments if I'm being dismissive.
No, anyway, you knew you weren't gay, right?
It's
not different.
It is different.
No, it isn't.
It's okay. Good luck with President Vance.
Okay, see, this is a fascinating transition for Bill Maher. To go from, like, we're talking about this to now, like, see, your attitude, like, he can't argue with it. Yeah. Because he realizes, like, he has no footing here to argue this. Like,
y'all heard me give my explanation. So obviously they're on the other spectrum of it, right? So you've got the hard line right on it. They are obviously on the left side of it. Like I said, I'm somewhere in between. I believe to each its own. But as a parent myself, this is what I would do as a parent. So this is how I feel. If the other guy, forget his name, if he's fine with that, and that other parent, obviously, that he's speaking about, they're fine with it, you know what? More power to them. It won't happen in my house.
Wouldn't let that shit happen to me, though.
But, you know, I get it.
the idea that, like, well, they're doing something. They're buying the kid clothes, which incidentally, I don't know what made the tomboy a tomboy that he was talking to, but I would bet it was the clothes.
Right.
Right? Like, it's whatever the tomboy clothes were at that time.
And house, like, as someone who I went through a phase like that. I was, obsessed. I was experiencing that. I was in 4th or 5th grade, and, you know, I loved, like, swords and stuff like that, and sports and things. I was more of a tomboy. And if my mom had been like, no, I'm not taking you to the boys section, how sad that would have been. And then I remember coming out through that phase, like, a year and a half later, and being like, I want to dress like a girl again. But it was just something I wanted to experiment with.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
What's wrong with you being sad in that moment? What's wrong with your parents telling you no? Like, why have we become that? You know, why have we made that shift in society? They just never going to be sad. What happens when they go out into the real world and then they really get told no for the first time? You know, with some of these parents, right? If they're always told yes, they're told no for the first time. It's going to completely crush their whole being, right? I've dealt with people that are younger that have had no real hardships in life. And I'm not saying like you have to crush everyone, you know what I'm saying? 80s babies were probably crushed. Y'all let me know. We're probably crushed on a daily basis. It turned us in, we've got issues, you know. for the most part, I'd say I'm willing to give out 80% of 80s babies. If y'all not talking to somebody, y'all should. Y'all probably got some repressed issues, some kind of way. Some emotional trauma exists.
Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy.
But this new age of parenting, this new version that we've identified, I'm not fully on board with all of the main tenets of this new wave of parenting. Me and my wife go back and forth on it. She has a lot more patience and a lot more she's not a lot more measured, let's just say that, than I am. So we have a lot of behind the scenes conversations on things that we disagree with, and we parent how we want to parent, right? Now, let's get back to the video.
And this like kind of thinking and the removal of agency from these children and not honoring their emotional life is abuse. And like I love how this guy, it's abusive. And I love how this guy's like the new atheist kind of person. But exactly what he's advocating for, this childless like drunk freak is advocating for, is exactly what every evangelical parent would be saying.
Completely fundamentalist.
So go back to Religious and maybe do a sequel where you're on that side now.
Right. I mean, the complete lack of awareness that everything he is talking about is religious fundamentalism vaporized. The solid is religious fundamentalism, but you take that patriarchy, which is really, really about religious fundamentalism in a relationship with God, and then it just sort of like patriarchy is like where you start to count it. But before that, above that, you could go to authoritarianism and dictatorship or monarchy. And
see, this is where I think we started a conversation here. Right? Where's my hand? We started the conversation here. He's gone. He's out of space. He's left. He's left a normal conversation where we're talking about an 8-year-old, what agency an 8-year-old has, what voice. And like I said, this whole it's abuse. Sure, I will allow that because, like I said, I've done some therapy in my, now that I'm older, and talked about some things. And yes, when you are parented a certain way, you learn how to water down your own personality. And I think that's essentially is what she's saying. Like, we as kids, depending on how you were raised, were taught to suppress so much of our personality. You never got to really lean into your views, your voice, your persona until, you were an adult or maybe even had already moved out and things of that nature. And I get that. And I get the potential that I have in having those views that I've shared with y'all in doing that to my kids. But again, there are some life decisions that I know, it's not a feeling, they are not ready to make. Period. There's a lot of life decisions they are not ready to make. I would not allow them to drive a car. My kids, I wouldn't allow them to shoot a weapon, right? I know, that's something, a lot of people, we're talking about 8-year-olds. I'm talking about 8-year-olds. 8 years old, yeah, I'm not having you drive a car. I'm not allowing you to shoot a weapon. I'm not leaving you at home alone. So if I'm not allowing you to do those things and make, those kind of decisions as an adult, right? Those are adult decisions, I believe. Then there's no way in hell that I'm allowing you to make a decision that's going to affect the rest of your life. So much so a decision on telling me that you feel like a different person. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we can have the back and forth debate on, gender and, transgenderism and things of that nature. I'm just telling you, I don't care about what other people are doing and how other people feel and all those things. I'm telling you about me as a parent and how I am going to deal with my children. That doesn't affect how I deal with other adults. Grown ass people doing grown ass things. Don't care. Do you. Do you. Not trying to stop anybody from living their lives. But in my household with my children, I have that say. They are my responsibility, for better or for worse. Everything that they do until they become adults is my responsibility, and I take that seriously.
Above that is this religious fundamentalism. And as you go through, I mean, that is what he is espousing, this sort of like, you cannot deviate from gender construction, even if it means that the parents are evilly buying boys' clothes. But here he is talking about now, this is his manufactured sort of like, this is why we lost elections. A, bullshit. But B, like, wait a second. This is what you're going to, like, this is all of a sudden, you're going from this deep concern to children that it's actually an electoral strategy? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna say my last little point and then we'll let this one lie, because I could probably talk about this for another 10, 15 minutes. But I don't want to, extend videos. I'm trying to do like 20 to 25 minute videos to not take up a whole bunch of y'all's time. But as much as I think it shouldn't, like I said, it shouldn't be a political issue. It shouldn't be one of those things that has so much agency in our elections. Excuse me. But it did. Some people are 1 issue, 2 issue voters. And, you talk about trans issues and a lot of people have a lot of things to say and a lot of issues with it. Again, the transgender in sports thing, I think it's no contest that, males have a physical advantage in some of these sports. And that's why, because of that, I don't think that they should play in women's sports. I don't think that that's something that should mean you vote Republican just because of that issue. But I don't. I think we should, women had to wait for a long time before they got a lot of these leagues until they had enough players to play in those sports, in those divisions. I think that that's what transgenderism is going to have to do. If this is going to be a thing and they want to play sports, which I believe they have the right to, they should have their own leagues. Or they should play in, the gender they were born in because of those, like I said, because of those advantages. I don't think they should have advantages. So we'll pocket that there. But the thing about 8-year-olds and younger, let's face it, making decisions about their gender that early on and parents actually playing into it, I don't agree with. I'm not going to do it. But that is a conversation that got independent voters to vote for conservative, and what I'm saying? So it had an effect on the election. You can't be dismissive. I wish it didn't, but it did. You cannot dismiss that. A lot of people still feel strongly about that today. I am more progressive than most, and I think it's a crazy conversation to even have. But like I said, y'all let me know how flawed of an individual I am, right? Just because, certain people agree with me in my life and things like that, I know that not everybody agrees with me. And obviously the majority report, they didn't agree. They had a different take. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. If y'all learned something from this one, definitely share it with your people. I think it's a good conversation to have. I don't think it's one that should burn any bridges or anything like that, but I think it's an interesting conversation. But y'all let me know what you got to say. Like I said, share it with your people. Keep the information flowing. Keep the conversation going. And until next time, I'll holla at you.
I don't think you wanna be my enemy. I pop out, they go wild, so celebrity. Too busy winning, I forgot that I got frenemies.